That says it all. We're going to be the demonstration of that love. If we're not, the universe will wait until we're the demonstration of that love. And that's all there is to it. And we need to act the same way that the universe acts toward us, toward everyone else. That's called forgiveness. Because everyone is acting out of the state of mind, the level of consciousness that they have in that moment. And that level of consciousness may not be able to express that love. So we wait, we give love, we demonstrate love, we teach love until that consciousness remembers that it too was born out of love. Today we're going to talk about clearing the way, making the way for our abundance, the abundance of that love in our lives. So I'd like to start out with a prosperity prayer. And we've adapted this from our 21-day prosperity program. I'd like us to do it together. You ready? I affirm the truth of God's abundance in every situation and condition of my life and the life of my spiritual community, Unity on Cape Cod. God is our only source, eternally and unconditionally radiating all good into our lives. Aligning myself, my energy. We need another one, Leonard. Aligning myself, my energy, my thoughts, feelings, words, and actions with the Christ consciousness, I am ever more open to the divine flow. All things are possible as I release every habitual pattern of lack or limitation. My creative spirit soars as I am filled with divine ideas. In my heart, I hold a vision of a world united in peace and prosperity, experiencing an ever-increasing flow of blessings. I receive in gratitude and give generously with a joyous heart. I acknowledge God as the source and substance of all my good. I am now willing. I am. We didn't get the rest of it. He didn't get the whole email. I'm going to finish it for you. I am now willing to receive that good which is already mine. Can we say that together? I am now willing to receive that good which is already mine. Excellent. Here, I'll give this to someone if you want to make copies. Here, I'll give it to Michael. If anyone wants a copy of that. The first thing that people think about when we're going to talk about abundance and prosperity is tithing. And they say, don't talk to me about tithing. And that's the first thing that every minister and every teacher of prosperity starts talking about. In fact, there's a book by Edwin Gaines, The 4 Spiritual Laws of Prosperity. And the first one is tithing. So I'm not going to talk about tithing, because it brings up a lot of fear in people. And I know, most teachings I've come across in Unity about tithing and outside of Unity as well, there are so many wonderful stories about people who have experienced a complete turnaround in their lives because of it. And the next step after that, according to Edwin Gaines, is setting goals. Getting a plan, setting goals for yourself. But if you're tithing material substance and money and you're setting goals in those realms and you haven't forgiven, none of that's going to work. The third law in the book I've been reading is forgiveness. It's clearing the way. It's making a pact with God or the universe that says, I'm going to leave myself open for abundance. I'm not going to fill up the space in my mind with grievances, with blaming, with complaining. I said last time I was up here that I saw an article in the hospital. I had to go to the hospital for something, and the article says how complaining is making you sick. So there it was, my diagnosis in the waiting room. I didn't need the doctor. I'm sick because I'm complaining. It was right there in the Cape Cod Hospital. I love the Cape Cod Hospital. They have valet parking. Isn't that cool? You pull up, leave them your car, give them your keys. It's like a hotel. Some of the most expensive rooms on Cape Cod. Not the hotel you want to be in. So forgiveness is really the first step in receiving my abundance, clearing my mind from all the limited thoughts and limited ways of thinking. I have to make room for my abundance by releasing my fear. I'm afraid if I give, I won't have anything left. What's going to happen? I won't be able to buy the groceries, or I won't. All these things. It's a very primal instinct, this fear, that if I release a little bit, if I give it away, then I won't have it. And it's just the opposite. Because if I'm giving it to you, now you have it and I have it. It's energy. I've given you something that I value, and now you have increased in your value, not only of what you've received, but of the person who gave it to you. You have a relationship now. We have a relationship with so many people through tithing. I wasn't going to talk about that. Through giving. Doesn't matter how much you give. Tithing says 10%. But if you want to give 20, 30, 40, 50, right, Paul? Look at the smile on Paul's face. He's always sitting there with this big grin on his face because he gives more than 20% of his income. And he doesn't think, oh, I'm going to give 20% of my... He just says, wow, there's a need over here. There's a need over here. I'm going to give it to that need. And all my needs are always met when I'm seeing a need and fulfilling it. I used to follow, when I was really young, a really cool preacher, and I can't remember his name right now, but he used to say, if you want to be happy, find a need and fill it. If you want to fulfill God's will and your purpose in this life, just find a need and fill it. Do whatever you can to fill that need, and you will fill yourself beyond your expectations. Because the truth is we're all connected, and those people are part of you, and this world is your world. And when you find a need and you fill it with your love, that love is now in the world. And it's part of the world, and it's part of everyone's life. I love being part of everyone's life. So we're talking about releasing our fears of giving. But we have a lot of other fears of giving, ways of giving love. I'm having a deja vu with you sitting in the front row here. He sparked a deja vu just then. Yeah, it is a good one. It is a good one, Scott. It's because when we're in the midst of fear, it doesn't seem so easy to release. It seems impossible. We need help. We need someone to remind us it's okay. God is love. It's okay. The universe is going to protect you and support you. And it doesn't feel that way when things happen in our society that are angry and violent and full of hate. But Mahatma Gandhi said, the anger is not your problem. The hate is not your problem. Fear is your problem. For those things are born out of fear. A fearful person is an angry person. A fearful person is a hateful person. So it's fear that we must deal with. It's not easy to turn off the fear in the midst of a violent situation. I'm sure that it's impossible to turn off the fear if somebody walked in here right now with a semi-automatic weapon and started shooting. And yet that's what happened this week to innocent people, innocent unarmed kids in Parkland, Florida. Hope that's the right name of the place. And that kind of thing tears me up inside. It's not necessary and it's easily avoidable. And let me tell you, I want you to hear this. That person who came in there with a gun is not an evil person. He had to be taught how to hate. He learned how to hate. He learned how to turn his fear into anger and hate and psychotic rage enough to shoot people. And I'm not even going to talk about why weapons are available to people like that, but I know that very soon they will not be. And you can mark my words on that. Because there are enough conscious people who are going to change the laws that allow this to happen. I can't remember who said it, but he said, I think it was a smart guy like Einstein, that it won't be the people that are destroying the world. It'll be the people who sit by and don't do anything about it. So I intend to do something about it. I intend to teach love. I do intend to teach only love. I really do. That's, the Course in Miracles taught me that. And why I like the Course in Miracles is it's completely uncompromising. It says, teach only love, for that is what you are. If it's not love, it's murder. Amazing, isn't it? There's no in-between there. There is no in-between there. But somehow I know we can teach, we can heal, and we can support our young people to know that they too are loved, that spark of divinity lives in them. I know we can teach it because my wife Lily is teaching it. She goes to the schools. She's teaching first graders and second graders and third graders with calmer choice. How to be mindful, how to breathe, how to be aware of their emotions, what they're feeling, how they feel about others, how they treat one another. There are teachers who pay attention to who's lonely in that class and who needs attention and care. There are many beautiful and wonderful progressive thinking minds who are helping people to learn that love can be taught, that we can stop teaching hate, and that when we see someone teaching hate, we can say, no, I'm sorry. You don't teach that around me. Period. I'm not going to teach that. And to do that, I've had to go inside quite often and many days because there are many things in this world that I might get upset about and feel anger about and want to strike out in vengeance. And I say to myself, no. What is forgiveness? Father, Mother, God, show me in this moment what forgiveness is. How am I to proceed in a spiritual manner? Wait for the answer from Spirit. Instead of acting, instead of reacting, we're acting. Instead of responding or reacting out of this primal need for vengeance, we're responding out of love. So what does all this have to do with abundance? I'm supposed to talk about abundance today. I'm not supposed to bring everybody down with the news that you see on the TV. But the abundance is in the abundance of ideas that you have to love others. The abundance of compassion that you have in your heart to reach out to others, no matter who they are, where they might be, to meet them on their path, wherever they are, and to say, we're one. You're part of my world, and I love you. I don't know how you're showing up in the world or who you have been up to this point, but since we met, this is a new moment. And from this moment on, your life will be different and my life will be different because you're in my life. and I'm in yours. And that's just the fact of the matter. But how do I want that to be? What kind of difference is it going to be now that we met? Have you met someone that's going to enrich and enhance your life? I certainly hope so. And are you that person who enriches and enhances my life? I certainly hope so. Because that's why I'm here. The ability to manifest the radiance of the Spirit in everything that you do, in every facet of your life. To me, that's abundance. That's the ability to give as I have received freely from the universe. The ability to manifest the radiance of the Spirit. Just take that in for a minute. The ability to manifest the radiance of Spirit. I am radiating light, love, healing energy. And if a young troubled child or even a troubled adult comes into your energy field, they're going to be healed. They're going to see something different. They're going to feel something different. They're going to begin to learn something different. Maybe they will unlearn all the hate that they've been taught. I was once asked in an interview, what is your definition of abundance? I guess Lily and I didn't seem on the outside to be so abundant. I wasn't wearing the suit that day. Didn't have my fancy Walmart Rolex. We didn't own a house. We don't have a nice car. I was driving in kind of an old van, minivan. Oh, like yours. It was the same color. And when I was asked that question, I never talked about money or possessions whatsoever. So when I was asked in front of a group of people that it was a Unity congregation that I was interviewing for a job as senior minister, which I didn't get, by the way, I'm here. Perhaps this definition of abundance needs to sink in to all of our consciousness. What I said was it's one's ability to give. It is measured in the amount of lives you impact, not the amount of money you have in your bank account. That's my definition of abundance. Now, if we need material substance to impact lives, if we need a good microphone for Jack and Ori to sing into, if we need a building with lights on and heat and air conditioning, and we need money to do that, then that's fine. But that's not the point. The point is, how many lives are we impacting? When I walked out in the hallway to get a drink of water, I turned around and looked through the window, and I saw everyone singing, "What the world needs now is love, sweet love." And I almost started crying because it's a beautiful sight to see all of you sitting here, singing together the answer to all the world's problems. What the world needs now is love, sweet love. It's just that simple. And the abundance of that love will show up in every way we need if we just clear our hearts and our minds of our own grievances, our own hatred, and our own judgments. And we start teaching only love. Just as hate has to be taught, love has to be on some level acknowledged and nurtured. It has to be taught in a different way. It has to be taught by real relationships. It's not about how much money we have in the bank. It's about how many lives we can impact. And I can assure you, if there's money in the bank, we'll find ways to give it away to impact more lives. The abundance of the universe is given freely and equally, without reserve, by our Father and Mother God. If I'm withholding anything from my brothers and sisters, I'm withholding it from myself. If I don't want to give it to you, I'm not willing to receive it of myself. Didn't Jesus say, what you do to the least of these, you've done unto me? That's a really deep metaphysical teaching. That really speaks not just to oneness, but it speaks to the idea that you live in me and I live in you. And since I live in God, so do you. Because someone that's not remembering that they're living in God, since I live in God, Jesus said, all you have to do is live in me and I will live in you. And you live in everyone. Yeah. You live in everyone. Give them your love. Those that you want to judge, give them your love. Those that you think are opposite from how you think, relax your judgments and give them your love. Because we continue to see people that are out there, we continue to see them as separate. And we have to stop teaching all that fear and separation. I don't know what it means for you, but what it means for me is I have to clear my mind and my heart of all hatred, all attack, and all fear. And I can do it because the Spirit of God is doing it for me, is doing it in me. All I have to do is make myself available to Spirit, and the cleansing, purification of that divine energy will take place. That's why we always want to increase the energy around here, that spiritual, divine energy. Wes is always talking about spiritual energy, divine energy. Well, that's one of the foundations of unity, is to connect your mind with divine substance, divine energy of God, and allow it to manifest to meet all of your needs. And it's just that easy. To increase the spiritual energy is to simply connect in love with my neighbors, to relax my judgments, to relax my fear. Forgiveness is the first step. The second is I'm taking responsibility for my own experiences, and in doing that, I will start to teach only love. I want to read a lesson in conclusion here today from A Course in Miracles, the workbook. It's lesson 249. And it says, forgiveness ends all suffering and loss. Forgiveness ends all suffering and loss. Forgiveness paints a picture of a world where suffering is over. Loss becomes impossible and anger makes no sense. Attack is gone and madness has an end. What suffering now is conceivable? What loss can be sustained? The world becomes a place of joy, abundance, charity, and endless giving. It is now so like to heaven that it is quickly transformed into the light that it reflects. And so the journey which the Son of God began has ended in the light from which he came. Father, Mother God, we would return our minds to you. We have betrayed them. We've held them in a vice of bitterness and frightened them with thoughts of violence and death. Now we would rest again in you as you have created us. We're dedicated to forgiveness because we know forgiveness ends all suffering and loss. And it changes our minds about who we think we are and how we show up in the world. And through forgiveness, I'm going to teach that you are inherently good. That's the second principle of unity, and it's one of the most important. That every human being has that spark of divinity within them. Every human being, no matter what they're looking like or showing up like, they too can remember that they are inherently good. And when that happens, it ends all suffering and all loss. Amen. I love you guys so much. Have a wonderful, happy week.
You have been watching the message from our Sunday celebration service here at Unity on Cape Cod, providing a positive path for spiritual living. Please join us every Sunday morning at 10 a.m. at 147 Walton Ave, Hyannis, Mass. And visit us online at www.unityoncapecod.org.